Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Katie Galan. I'm the Director of Education and Community Engagement for Better Business Bureau Heart of Texas. I'd like to welcome y'all to this month's webinar, but a couple housekeeping things that I just want to mention before we get going with our presenter. We do these webinars every single month. They're typically the last Thursday of the month. So keep an eye out for those that are coming up later on in the year. They are, of course, as you guys know, at no cost to you. We just want to provide this service to businesses and make sure that you have all of the information that you need to be successful. But something else that I do want to mention, if your business is a trade business, we have something coming up called our Blueprint program through Better Business Bureau. And this is through our foundation that we have. And so this is going to be a 4-course program, and it's going to be once a month. And it will start June 25th. That will be the first course, and it's only about an hour and a half each time. And so this is going to be for those people, those businesses who want to get a little bit more information on procurement contracts and kind of how to get those larger government contracts or larger commercial contracts. And so we will be having that again starting June 25th. You do have to sign up. If you are a BBB accredited business, it is $25 per person for all four courses. So that's a great value. If you are not BBB accredited, it's still only $40. So if you've ever been through any sort of certification or anything like that, you know that the investment is usually much, much larger. So I would encourage you guys, I will put the link in here a little bit later, but I would encourage you guys, if you are in those trade businesses and you want access or you want to know how to get access to those larger contracts, to please consider this Blueprint program. If you complete all 4 courses, you will be entered into a drawing for a $500 travel voucher, airline travel voucher. So that's a great incentive also, as well. So with all that being said, I do want to go ahead and get started. We do have the chat enabled for everyone. So any questions or comments that you guys have, please feel free to put it in the chat and we will address that at the end of the presentation. We will leave about 10 minutes at the end of Darcy's presentation to kind of go over any of that. So please utilize the chat. But I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker, who is Darcy Shaw. She is with the Del Mar College Cyber Center. And she is going to talk to us about what to do once your business gets scammed. Because we all know, cybersecurity is such a big part of owning a business and running a business. It's not at this point a matter of if you will get scammed or if you will be you're compromised in any way, but when. And so we need to make sure that we're prepared and know what to do in that instance. So I will hand it over to Darcy. Do you want me to turn it off for you?
Can you load the presentation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to share. Just one second. And there we go.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We are doing this as a hybrid event and I tend to move around a little bit. So I'm not sharing my beautiful face on the screen for y'all to see. My name is Darcy Shaw and I'm the program manager of the Del Mar College Cyber Center. And we work with small and mid-sized businesses, assisting them with their cybersecurity awareness. So doing trainings like this, what to look out for, and also how to respond when something happens, creating plans and policies for your company so that you have things documented. So when something happens, you're able to respond quickly. You can just put your hands on it and follow the instructions as best you can. As I'm sure we all know, sometimes when we're in a moment of crisis, we behave differently than we think we would have. And we also work with companies who are trying to achieve cybersecurity maturity as part of government contracting compliance. And we do all that at no cost. We work one-on-one confidentially with clients. And we're hosted at Del Mar College, and our initial program was funded by Corpus Christi Type B Board. However, we have received additional funding so that we can serve clients throughout the entire coastal bend. And then we have resource partners who can assist clients throughout Texas with these same kinds of services at no cost for your business. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. Here's our contact information, and please contact us and we can share more of those other resource partners that are available. Okay. So business scams, you all, I'm sure, follow the news. Most of the clients we work with have an understanding that scams are happening. I think probably already today, I received maybe 2 or 3 phone calls on my phone that were scam calls. I know I got one on my work phone that they called about 3 or 4 times. It's very common, and as the world becomes more digitally sophisticated, it's even harder to identify when there's issues happening. So awareness is a key piece, but we also want to make sure that we have a plan when something does happen. So 60% of businesses report being targeted by scammers. Those are the ones reporting it. 80% of companies faced fraud or attempted fraud in a year, and 29%, so about a third of scam attempts result in financial loss, and it can be very substantial for businesses, and it nationwide and internationally, it's billions and billions of dollars. So that's the bad guys getting those. In Texas, and I got some of this data from the Better Business Bureau. So tech support scam losses, and that's all companies, not just small businesses, 86.7 million. And those tech scams, that can be an email that's saying, hey, your subscription expired. You need to log in here. Your iCloud is full and you need to log in here. Put your financial information in there. Or it can be tech support services that you maybe allow to remote into your system, and they're accessing or installing malicious software that's stealing data from you and accessing your accounts and stealing money from you. So there are a lot of avenues that those scams can get through to people and access our information and access our dollars. And when you're a small business, mid-sized business, any business, those dollars are really important and they're yours. So you want to protect them. I want to ask, okay, if your business sent money to a scammer, so if you fell for a scam, which, by the way, like we said, there happens a lot. And I can say I personally have friends and family who have been susceptible to falling for scams. We have clients all the time. It's very common. That's why I said that reported. Being scammed is probably, I would say, closer to 90 to 100%. If you're not connected to anything, maybe you're not getting scammed. But what would you do in the first 10 minutes once you discovered that you took a call and you gave money to a scammer? You gave them your account information. What do you do? Take a breath first. But you want to respond quickly. So sometimes people get overwhelmed or paralyzed when something bad happens. That's why having a plan is really crucial. Because if you hold off and you don't respond quickly, when those scammers are out there continuing their activity and going after other people, they may be able to access your system or your financials further. And you may accidentally or on purpose delete information that could be used to track down who those scammers are. So evidence that you might have on your devices, those text messages, those phone numbers, those kinds of things are evidence that can be used to track down those bad people, or at least maybe recover your funds. Common business scams that I'm sure many of you business owners have experienced are business email compromise. So those are those phishing emails that you get that say, click this link, which I think most of us are familiar with. However, with the advent of AI, the bad actors are getting really sophisticated in how they're sending those messages, and even what pages they're sending you to, they can look very much like the real thing. So it just makes it a little more challenging, and why the awareness is important. And again, having a plan to respond when something happens. Fake invoices. I have a number of clients that deal with this. So they could be, you could be receiving invoices that are from a vendor that you use, but they're not really coming from the vendor. So maybe your employees in your accounts payable office go ahead and pay that invoice because it came in, you're busy, a lot of things are moving, you're tracking a lot of pieces. And so you're receiving that bill, or there might be an automatic debit that just keeps happening and it's under the name of a vendor that you are familiar with. It might be a little bit different. So those are reasons why you want to keep track of what's happening with those vendor charges and have good accounting. Payroll scams and ransomware, which is the big scary R word. Those are efforts to, usually they'll go through your HR department, or they'll try and access your payroll systems because there's financial information available. They can receive payment that way. And of course, ransomware, where they could take over your system entirely, where you don't have any access to any of your information, and they hold it for ransom. Typically, they're going to ask you to pay for that using a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. And then tech support scams, as I mentioned. So that could be impersonating an IT professional. So you get remote access, and then they can go through your network and through your systems to harvest the credentials of you, your employees, your customers, and your vendors. So that can be a really dangerous risk. And as I mentioned, once you find out that something has happened, so something unusual is happening in your system, or your bank account has something missing, as soon as you detect that, it's important to respond. If you fail to respond, you could lose more data, more dollars. And it allows the bad guys to continue to perpetrate what they're doing to other people. You may not report. You might feel panic, which I always have a hurricane story of, I did a hurricane preparedness forever, training people on it. And when we had a hurricane in the area, I absolutely just grabbed the essentials and threw them in like my dirty laundry, basically, and ran out the door. But I have a lockbox that has all my important documents, and it's programmed in my brain that no matter what, I'm grabbing that lockbox, and it's coming with me. And my pets, they were important too. So, but it's important to have a plan, because we sometimes do have that panic response where your brain isn't functioning, you're just in your emotions, and so you're not able to respond as quickly. So these are the simple 4 steps that have to do with your response. Okay, so I wanted to break it down into the basic top levels to give you a place to start, where you can begin to capture, hey, what do I need to do in this part? And when does it end? How do I know that I've recovered? So these are the 4 steps. You recognize that a scam happened. So that has to do with awareness. I'm going to go into these a little more in just a moment. Contain it, so that you have measures to make sure that it's not spreading further if it's something that's installed on your devices, or if somebody's accessing accounts, so that you're making sure that you close down their ability to access any of that information or those systems that are important to your company. That you report what happens to the appropriate authorities, because that helps other people who are experiencing these things. It gives us data so we can track what's happening. And in some instances, they're able to do some recovery for you. I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then your recovery is making sure you have a plan of here's how maybe we communicate that something happened to our employees or to our customers, and how do we know that we're back on track and we're safe and protected. So first of all, some of the things that you might see in a scam are unexpected payment requests, requests to access your bank account. I think most everybody, your banks are really on top of this because they're really the ones at the front line, or I guess the second line of when fraud happens and when scams happen. They often will tell you or send messages to you that we will not call you and ask you for your credentials, right? So if you're getting a call from somebody asking for those credentials, then that's probably not your bank. So these are the things to recognize, and I'll get to how we respond. Uh-oh, they are here. I apologize if y'all, the slides are not moving with us on the presentation. So just one moment while we handle our technical issues. And Katie, I believe we'll be able to share the slides with attendees. So I'll make sure you have them because there's important information in there.
Yeah, so this is being recorded, so the recording will be sent to you, and we can send the presentation, the slides along with that.
Bear with us. Thank you so much for your patience.
Can you ask them if they can see it now? Can you all see the slides now?
They'll have to respond in chat.
Okay. Chat here. See step
Is
one.
it from share screen? Did you do share?
Okay, let me advance it. Okay, this is step two.
Did you do share screen?
Yes.
Okay. I apologize. Oh, awesome.
Okay, they're seeing them advance now.
Yay.
Perfect.
Excellent. So we're on step 2, contain the damage. Actually, I'm going to go back. So let me know. We're talking about recognizing the scam. And essentially, I'm hoping everybody can see that if you can verify that for me, Katie. Essentially, one of the key things to know when a scam is occurring is that you need to, they're often going to attack you when you're in a vulnerable situation. So again, you might be in your emotions about it. It might be, you know, it's a threat. Oh my gosh, all your systems are going to expire and you need to pay this amount, you know, and you're thinking, I'm going to lose all my files and I've got tons of stuff in there. So they try to give you a sense of urgency, a sense of threat. Some scammers, I've had businesses receive scams where it's, you know, someone calling and saying, you have to give me you're late on a payment. You need to make this payment to us. And they're like, I don't even know who you are, but they're like, we're going to send the sheriff to your house, which is not going to happen. The BBB has a ton of information on scams, so you can see kind of what's occurring out there. And we'll share some of those links as well. But what they want you to do is feel that sense of urgency, not think, right? Just respond out of fear. So the first thing to do when something's happening, and even if it's a hurricane, take a breath, right? Pause, center yourself, and step through, okay, I've got these steps that I'm going to take as my plan of action to deal with this situation. Verify the information. So that's going through, if it's a link, don't click the link, go pull up the website and investigate for yourself. Or, you know, we don't do it a lot, but it's really crucial when we're talking about scammers and we're talking about fraudsters. pick up the phone and call people to verify, did you send me this invoice? What is happening with this account? You're way more likely going through their actual website, getting their actual contact information. And some of the resources I give you will give you tools to keep track of that information so it's at hand when something happens and you can move quickly. And then if you're an employee, alert your supervisor immediately, or if you have a response person in your organization, alert that person. Okay, how do we contain the damage? Contact your bank immediately if money was sent. Your bank is your friend in these situations, and the sooner that you notify them, the sooner they can stop that transaction from happening, or they may be able to mitigate the situation. At minimum, they're going to close down those cards in that account, which I know can be cumbersome, but that's again why we have a plan and make sure there's a way to really quickly shift gears when something happens. If credentials are compromised, so access information, if somebody's accessed an account, you want to change your passwords, you want to enable multi-factor authentication or MFA, and that's where you log in, but it's also asking you for a code that's sent to your phone or your thumbprint. So typically it's something you are, which could be your thumbprint or a biometric, something you have, which would be your phone, and something you know, which would be maybe a security question and your password. So if you can have those layers of protection, that again prevents those bad guys from coming in. So those are good practices to have in your company. And we have training available on that in other places. So, and if your computer is infected, so if something got downloaded, disconnect from the internet. So unplug from your network, but make sure that device stays powered on, because again, there might be evidence on there that when you notify authorities, they can assist in maybe tracking down who the people are who have harmed you. And I know small businesses don't often have their own IT support or anything like that, but there are, again, there's things that you can do to make it easier so when something happens, you can really turn around and come back. So that reporting and preserving evidence, again, notifying your banks, freezing your accounts. I have, on all my bank accounts, I have the ability to lock my card. So if I'm not using it, I lock it, nobody can use it. No transactions can come through that debit card or that credit card without me unlocking it. So sometimes it can cause a little, if there's a delay in a transaction processing, it could cause a little issue. But I just have an awareness and I'm monitoring what's happening with it that way. Report incidents to the local police department. And that's, again, on some of the guides that I'll share with you. You want to make sure you have that number handy, the non-emergency number. You can call and say, here's what happened. I experienced this situation, and they'll take you further. File official complaints with the FBI IC3, which is a website, and the Federal Trade Commission, their fraud site, and I will give you those links as well. So that there's a record of these things occurring and how much they're occurring and who's doing them and who they're happening to. So sometimes that can go out in the media and let people know, hey, this is a common threat that's happening. You need to look out for this. Those toll texts that you got on your phone that said you need to pay your toll. And then you want to secure any documentation of what happened. So if there's messages, if there are the emails that might have been sent to you, any of the transaction records that might have happened that you've got for that incident occurring, you want to make sure you capture that. And don't reformat your systems until the evidence is retrieved from that. You know, I think a lot of us want to I'm going to shut it down. I'm just going to start it over. I'm going to reboot the whole thing. And I understand, and certainly, you know, everybody's got to go the process that they need to, but you might have a better chance of getting that information back if you preserve that evidence. And also it helps the authorities track down people who are bad actors. Screenshots and information to capture when something happens. So all your, the payment transfer receipts, bank transactions, capturing screenshots of those things to keep as documentation. Again, the communication evidence, the texts, emails, anything that came. I keep track of, like when I get scam callers, I'll oftentimes track those numbers, just so I have a record. Now, there's, a lot of times they can use lots of different numbers to reach you. They can spoof numbers and look like a different number. Voicemails, that's really key. And that way, at least for reporting, you can give more evidence or you can show here's what's happening. And then any pop-up messages, error messages, ransomware screens, you can alerts. Like I just had somebody tell me they knew somebody was trying to get into their Gmail account because they keep getting a request to give their PIN code. So they know someone else is trying to get in. So any of those unusual alerts and when it's happening and what's happening, keep track of that because it gives you more supporting evidence and it also helps catch the bad guys or at least redirect them. And I have a one-page response plan that I've shared with the attendees here, and we can also probably share that handout with everybody who's joining us online. But essentially, I'll go through each of these pieces. It's having a list of the contacts that you would need to reach out to if something happened, having a checklist basically to walk through what do I do at each point in the incident, and then also having an understanding of maybe what communications, if you have to communicate to your employees, if you have to communicate to your customers, if it's something where maybe even through social media, how you're going to communicate what happened if you need to, if something was taken that you need to communicate out. So if payroll information was taken and you have to communicate that to employees, you want to have a draft of how you're going to do that and a process. So who to have on your incident contact list? Definitely your bank, their fraud department in particular. But have, multiple numbers to contact your bank because they are your friend in helping you process the situation. Your IT support provider. So if you're using an IT support, if you have a managed service provider, you want to have that number available or that app, that information. It's ideal if you have it recorded physically in a place that you can access easily and also saved in a third place, like a cloud storage, a secured cloud storage, so that you can access it if something happens to your device. So if you're keeping it on your device or you're keeping it somewhere that you can't get to easily, you want to make sure you have another way to access it. If you have cyber insurance or any insurance for your business, you might have, it's service interruption, I think, insurance. So you might want to make sure you have your insurance provider's information, contact information, your payroll provider, your domain registrar. How do you go and contact them if somebody hijacks your website? If they're taking payments through your website, that should be coming to you. Your email provider, local law enforcement, which I highly encourage people to get familiar with their local law enforcement for these particular situations. They don't want these things happening either. And then FBI IC3, which is ic3.gov, is a site where they have some information, but it's really where you can report these activities. And law enforcement may or may not be able to help you recover financially. It often depends on the size of the incident that happens and the breadth of the incident that's happening. But you reporting helps them know this is a problem. Like this is a common situation that's happening. So be a good citizen. It will help you in the future. It's going to help you when you go look at, say, the Better Business Bureau scam tracker, and you see those scams that have been reported. If somebody's contacting you, you can go look on that site and see, oh, this is a scam because somebody's reported it and it looks exactly the same as what I got. So reporting is everybody contributing to kind of put that wall up against the bad guys. Here are some communication strategies. So I was talking about, having to communicate with your customers, employees, vendors, depending on what's happened. The Federal Trade Commission has a guide, and I've shared some of that with everybody here, and I can share links, or you can go to their website and look for communication after a data compromise on the Federal Trade Commission, ftc.gov, I believe, site. So you want to make sure that you don't want to get flowery with your language. You just want to say, here's what happened. We are dealing with this situation. Use common language that's easy for people, and give them the ability to reach out or contact you in the situation, or what kind of action they may need to take. And also, you may want to consult when you're in this communication phase. If something has happened, you'll definitely want to build your team and make sure you have legal consultation, or your insurance company can also help you navigate some of those things. And again, there are some additional free resources. But reputation is a big reason why, when a company is scammed or there's a data breach, that trust relationship that customers or vendors or employees have with that company is part of what can cause a company to fail if something happens. So it's really important to be transparent and communicate clearly. Don't give too much information, but just stick to the facts. And then, because we're doing this online, I put in a whole bunch of wordy, fun slides with kind of the key documents that you want to keep on hand and know where they are, so that you can easily recover. So if something happens to your device, if something happens where, a ransomware where you can't get into your device, again, as I mentioned, you want to store those documents where it's available physically. So having these documents and this information physically but secured is important, with access only for the people who need to have access to it. So maybe in a locked cabinet. And also securing it through a secure cloud-based site, just so you have the ability to access it if you can't physically access something. That redundancy can help you recover more quickly with your business. And so these documents, like if you're incorporated, your DBA, your EIN confirmation letter, any other corporate or business documents that you need to have. And then, of course, your bank and financial documents. So keeping your bank account information, at least the last 4 digits, so you know which accounts they are. The contact channels, so where you would report to those financial institutions if, say, you got scammed and you gave your credit card information or your bank information. You want to keep that written down. Operational template. So this is kind of when you have employees, or if something is happening and they're being asked, say they get nowadays with AI again, and deep fakes, phishing, they could get a call that really sounds like you, which is really scary. But also, that's why we need to put some of these controls in place to make sure that your accounts payable person, your bookkeeper, your front office person, that if they get a call saying, hey, I am on a trip and I can't access this, can you send me this can you make a deposit to this account where I'm going to be able to access it? And it's going to a fraudulent account, right? It's a scam. So if they have procedural templates of, nope, before anything happens, before this moves forward, I need to verify it with this person, maybe we have a passcode, maybe we have some other procedures that ensure that I'm not going to send this to the wrong people. You want to keep track of your merchant, your vendor information, your credit card info, payroll account records, all those things that you need for your business anyway, but having them where you can easily access them and knowing where they are is important. And then any reference material, so you can verify it during the recovery process. And then your approved vendor list. This is important. So if somebody's getting a vendor request, they can look at your list of, is this really our vendor? Like if I get an email that says, hey, you're behind on your payment and we're going to close your subscription to this account. And I look at our list and we don't have a subscription to that account. That's not a vendor that we use. Or if I'm receiving an invoice from somebody who's like, hey, we sold you these products and you need to pay this invoice. And I can look at my list and be like, hey, that's not one of our vendors. I probably need to call and verify this or find out what's going on. And any recurring payments so that you know that those are happening. Other payment instructions that you have, making sure that those are secure, you know where they are, and you know who should have access to them. So who are the verified contacts? And then, of course, your payroll information, your employee information, a lot of that you need to keep secured no matter what as a business owner. But you also want to make sure you have it in a place that you can access it if something happens. So you have a way to contact the people. And also to be able to change access and secure access. And then if you have any, your IT systems, because again, that's one of the avenues where the scammers get in is as IT presenting as tech support, presenting as, your outside third-party support vendor for a particular software application or your system, and you let them in because, hey, I'm having an issue with this thing. Well, it might be an issue that they installed through another avenue, and then they're prompting you to use their services, and that's going to allow them to access more data and information. Your backup systems, who your email is hosted through, and those email access pieces, your domain registrar for your website, making sure you know who has control of your website and how to access that information, and cyber insurance if you have that, and other insurance information too. As I segued right into insurance information and legal documents that you may have for your business. So any contracts, any other legal documents. And then another key piece of being able to respond to a scam in your company is, a lot of companies, you might be the sole person in the company, but if you have employees, even if you have customers or vendors who might, maybe somebody's pretending to be you and scamming someone else, you want to create an environment where people can come and report this, and then we're just going to handle it and take care of it. We're not going to blame somebody for falling victim to a scam because it is so prevalent. And I make a point of not asking everybody in the room to raise their hand if they received a scam phone call today, but I have already today. So it's, the threat actors are getting very sophisticated about how they're trying to scam people. But we also don't want to live our lives in fear or, in the cybersecurity world that I live in, we talk a lot about zero trust, but if you can't build trust, then it's hard to do business, right? You still you're trying to reach people you don't know to come in and be your new customers. You're trying to do better deals to get vendors for your business. So you're always contacting and reaching out to people you may not know, but creating relationships, first of all, and then within your company, creating an environment where, hey, if something happens, I need you to tell me right away so we can respond quickly. And, you know, it happens to a lot of people. Let's just start where we are, and we're going to move forward with what we need to do. And it also, as an employer, gives you an opportunity to go, hey, I might need to do some more awareness training with my employees. I might need to make sure people understand what the procedures are. Maybe we need to sit down together and craft a procedure for responding to this particular situation. And then you can also lean on trusted resources to help you navigate those situations. And as I mentioned, that's like the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, the Federal Trade Commission. I have used that site a lot. I mean, I'm one of those people that I will go out there and deliberately report whenever people are sending me scam things, because I want to make sure that information is getting out there to folks. That this is a scam. I want to support their ability to find that quickly and be able to not fall victim to that scam. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency is CISA. They're under the Department of Homeland Security. They have a lot of cybersecurity practices, a lot of incident response plans if something happens digitally. So if somebody accesses your system and you need to be able to respond or recover from that, they have a lot of great resources and training and awareness training. Of course, we've got the Better Business Bureau, their scam tracker, and then they've got a lot of great resources as well to help you navigate your recovery, and fabulous trainings like this one. And finally, there are small business development centers throughout the nation with advisors who can work with you at no cost, one-on-one, to assist your business. They can help you navigate some of these recovery practices, or even getting policy documentation, putting some of that documentation together. SCORE, they're all no cost. Cyber centers, so we're really a special creature here in Texas. However, there are a lot of cybersecurity clinics that are available to assist small businesses. And then very recently, there's a statewide initiative called Texas Small Business Cybersecurity Assistance Center, TSBCAC.org is the site. And there are advisors that will work with businesses on their cybersecurity planning and compliance at no cost. And I think it's up to 40 hours anywhere in the state. And they're all offering training as well. And then even your making connections with your bank, they may have other resources available for you, training and other contacts to help you navigate these kinds of situations, your insurance provider. So as a small business owner, you don't have to be the expert in everything. You want to be, you want to build your team, be the expert in the things that you know. You still have to make the decisions. You're still going to be the one suffering the consequences when something happens. So you want to have a strong team, but it's important to be able to let yourself focus on your business and put some of these tools in place that will make it run more smoothly and make it easier for you to recover when something happens. So I will share those slides, but I'm available if anybody has any questions. I'm going to let Katie come back and navigate.
Okay, just one second here. So there we go. So I definitely want to make sure that you guys, okay, this is what we're talking about where we couldn't see the
Oh, I'm
slides.
so sorry.
Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any questions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat here. But I definitely want to mention to also utilize, like Darcy said, BBB Scam Tracker, which is on our website, bbb.org. That is where you can go and report those scams. If you were the victim, or even if you almost were the victim and you just kind of want to create awareness for our community, you can go and do that there. Even if you weren't and you just kind of want to see what other people are reporting, what people in our community are reporting, that's a great thing to do. There are, like she said, a lot of resources on our website, and one that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of, which is our scam survival toolkit.
Yes, I wanna
Yes,
mention that
and
one as well.
let me make sure. Hold on, let me make sure it's on my scam recovery. Okay, there we go. Let me share so you guys can see what that looks like. So this is something that we did in partnership with mental health professionals. So we're really proud about the fact that we created this with them. Because we wanted to make sure that the imagery, that the wording was not victim blaming in any way, and that everything was very easy to navigate and very easy to find. So if you or your business was ever the victim of a scam, you would come to our scam survival toolkit, and then you put in kind of I won't go through the whole thing, but put in kind of some very basic information. So let's say you can, whether it's for an individual or a business, you put in whatever happened in your situation, you can kind of go through the whole thing, and we'll ask for a little bit of more of what happened there. And then once we get all that information from you, we will compile a list or a list of steps for you to complete in order to get things back on track, whether that is contacting law enforcement, the credit bureaus, your bank, whatever that may be. We will provide you with that list of what it is that you need to do. And we also will provide, some people, whether you lost $500 or $50,000, the implications mentally can a lot of times be the same, right? Depending on what your situation is. So we also provide resources to help you find mental health professionals if that's something that you need. This is particularly important when we're talking to people who own and run businesses, because this is really your livelihood, right? So we want to make sure that you guys have all of that information available to you. Let me see. I don't think we had any questions. I want to give it just about another minute or two just to make sure we get anything while we have Darcy here, that you guys are taking advantage of that. But I don't. Let me go back up to the top. Yeah, I don't see anything else, just about the slides. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say
Yeah,
what you mentioned about also tracking through the credit reporting bureau. So probably pulling your credit report every year just to make sure nothing's happening there. So you know what your position is, what's on your credit reports from the 3 credit reporting agencies.
Yes, yeah.
It's free once a year.
Yeah, we definitely encourage you to monitor your credit bureaus and your credit reports and kind of see what's going on there, just like Darcy just mentioned. Something like a Credit Karma is something that you can kind of do not as deep of a dive, but you can get an idea of what's going on there. It's not the annual pools that you can do with the credit bureaus themselves, but this is something that you can even look at every day if you want to. So I would highly encourage you to take a look at those, when you can, and make sure that there isn't anything kind of fishy. I actually just had a conversation with somebody about this on Tuesday, and she had a medical charge on her credit report and had no idea where it came from. So that's something that she would have to dispute, right? So definitely a good idea to take a look at that. And I guess that's all. We don't have any questions. So thank you all for joining us today. Just a reminder, this is being recorded, so it will be emailed to you along with the slide deck. Any questions that y'all have, please feel free to reach out to Darcy or to myself. We are all here to help you. And I also, before I get off, want to say a big thank you to the Clayburgh County Economic Development and Training Center, who has very graciously offered their facility to us today so that we could have this in a hybrid fashion. So we have some folks that are in attendance, and then of course you guys that are here online. So thank you to them for allowing us to do that. But that's all we have. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Thank you.